Nestled in the northwest corner of Canada, the Yukon Territory is a land of rugged beauty and untamed wilderness. It's the smallest territory in Canada and lies about 250 meters north of Whitehorse. The region is home to a diverse array of habitats, from sweeping tundra landscapes consisting of jagged mountain ranges, cascading waterfalls, crystal-clear rivers, and snow-covered dense forests. Despite the subarctic harsh climate with long, bitterly harsh winters and very short spring and fall seasons, the flora and fauna of the Yukon are equally diverse, with the species ranging from stately moose and caribou to the powerful grizzly bear. Living off the land were the Roosholt family. About 250 meters away from the Einerson Lake, in a cabin most commonly used by hunters, was an outdoorsy family of three: Valerie Thiriet and her husband, German Roosholt, with their newborn baby girl Adele. The couple had just welcomed their baby 10 months ago, and Valerie was on maternity leave. During the holidays, the family would retreat to their remote cabin, living off the land and savoring every moment in their secluded paradise. Germond ran a company called Wild Tracks, which was a hunting guide firm for people interested in hunting, trapping, fishing, and other close-to-wild expeditions. The couple owned one of the 360 trap lines situated in the wilderness. They spent their days harvesting the finest fur from wolves, foxes, lynxes, and other exotic creatures. Navigating the trap line was a daunting task, but Germond and Valerie were more than up to the challenge. They were meticulous in their preparations, leaving no detail unchecked, ensuring their quest to capture the finest specimens without causing any unnecessary conflict. However, nature has its way to outwit the human intellect. During his regular visits to the trapline, Germond had to leave Valerie and his 10-month-old infant Adele in the cabin. He had to venture into his snowmobile to harvest the traps and reset them. Things were going all good until the fateful day, on November 26th of 2018. On this November morning, Germond gathered his gear and jumped on the sleek snowmobile, ready to embark on an exciting trapping venture. After a delicious breakfast earlier that day, the duo had planned to spend some quality family time together in the evening. It had been a hectic week for Germond, and they both wanted to make the most of their time before returning to the daily grind, as Valerie's maternity leave was coming to a close. As the snowmobile whizzed off, Valerie waved goodbye, watching as it left a trail of snow in its wake. Afterward, she returned to the cabin and finished her chores before settling in for the rest of the day. At 1:30, Thiriet and Adele set off for a leisurely walk, seeking some solitude and natural beauty. After some delightful minutes into the forest, as they neared low-lying spruce, a subtle movement caught their eye. Presuming it was a rodent, Thiriet left it unchecked and continued to enjoy nature to its fullest. Little did she realize that there was a grizzly bear stalking them, silently watching from 150 feet away. The beast, emaciated and hungry, had forgone its usual winter dormancy in search of sustenance. Its weight had fallen from a healthy 600 to 700 pounds to a measly 320. And now as the duo strolled on, blissfully unaware of the death that lurked in their midst, the grizzly bided its time, waiting for the opportune moment to strike. The famished bear had been enduring a prolonged period of starvation, living solely on scraps and scavenging for any sustenance it could find. In a moment of desperation, it had resorted to consuming a porcupine that, instead of giving it relief from the agonizing hunger, brought along an internal injury, its paws moving in a sluggish movement as he sought out nourishment. But upon sighting a mother and daughter out on a hike, its sluggish movements transformed into a careful and furtive style as he began to stalk them with ultimate precision and stealth. After half a kilometer away from the cabin around 2 p.m., Thiriet stopped by a spruce thicket to readjust the baby carrier on her back. The bear saw his opportunity. It crept closer, leaping upon her from behind and seizing the infant from the backpack before thrusting the mother aside into the bushes. Thiriet had no chance to defend herself, no time to react to the deadly predator. Before she could even regain consciousness, the bear had already torn the baby to shreds. She let out a shriek of hysteria, attempting to stand and save her child from the impending demise, but it was too late. The animal charged at her with relentless ferocity, delivering a blow to her chest and choking her from the throat that left no chance of survival. The 37-year-old mother let out her final cry as she collapsed to the ground. Half an hour later, Germond was returning to his cabin, when he noticed the tracks of a bear along his snowmobile trail that he had left in the morning. He slowed down, his years of experience in the wild telling him that this was no ordinary bear. It was a massive grizzly. Fear began to take hold as he realized he was far from his cabin and his family. When he reached the cabin, he rushed inside, hoping to find them safe. Panic thoughts raced through his mind as he frantically searched for any sign of his loved ones, but the cabin was empty, and the bear's tracks led around to the back. With adrenaline coursing through his veins, Germond grabbed his rifle and set off into the woods, calling out for his wife as he walked into a state of hysteria. But there was no response, no sign of anyone in the snowy wilderness. As he stalked through the dense forest, his heart pounded in his chest as he called out for his wife again and again. After following the tracks about 400 meters, he reached a thicket and once again shouted the name of his wife. He got the response, but not the one he wanted to. The massive grizzly with a guttural growl jumped from the spruce bushes, with its fur matted with blood and its eyes filled with rage. Snapping his senses, Germond raised his rifle and fired 2 shots at the beast, but even as it staggered under the impact, it refused to fall. With a snarl, the bear lunged forward, its claws bared and ready to tear him to shreds. Desperately, Germond fired a 3rd shot. This one finally found its mark and dropped the beast to the ground. But before his heart could come out of the racing fear, he was struck by a new horror as he saw a brutally mauled body lying just a few steps away from the bear's corpse. The face was unrecognizable, but the clothes were familiar, and he knew with a sickening certainty that it was his wife. He screamed in despair and pain, but his mind turned to Adele. Despite the overwhelming pain in his heart, he forced himself to keep moving, determined to find any sign of the child. Unfortunately, his worst fears were confirmed when he found the badly brutalized remains of his 10-month-old infant. Struggling to contain his emotions, he called the authorities for help, waiting beside the bodies of his partner, child, and their killer. The officers were informed of the attack around 3:45 p.m., and the bear responsible was taken away for examination and investigation. They gathered evidence of the gruesome incident, carefully examining the remains of the twisted beast, and they discovered that the bear was an 18-year-old male. Its body was unnaturally skinny, and the bear had been starving. With almost no detectable body fat, it was clear that the creature had been struggling to survive in its final days. The wound caused by the porcupine had partially healed, indicating that it had been more severe at some point in the past. The necroscopy report revealed that the bear had been driven to desperate measures, resorting to eating items that not normally were found in its diet. The investigation team concluded that the attack was unprovoked, and that the incident was nothing short of a horrific testament to the dark and terrifying nature of the wild. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all in the next one.